If you had to be haunted by one character in Frasier, who would it be?
The dog.
Oh, the dog, yeah. Eddie.
Dog was cute.
Absolutely. Welcome to the Quicksand Club podcast, the podcast where we discuss every topic worth discussing, one at a time. This episode's topic is ghosts, and we're going to do it in a couple of different segments. Later, we're going to be joined by Zack Johnson, Claire Rice, and Puja Tolton. But for this first segment, we're telling some first-person personal ghost stories. I'm Spencer Bainbridge, by the way, and for this segment, I'm joined by
Tavis Kammet.
Becky Raeta.
Sarah Rudnick.
Okay, Tavis, earlier you were telling me about some spooky experiences you had. Tell the story about the night you were coming home after acting in a play.
So this play was in San Leandro, and I was staying at a house in Berkeley. So I take the BART back, and the house is kind of not too far from the house where I grew up, up the hill. So I'm walking up this hill, kind of early at the beginning of it, and I see a man come to me. Maybe he's about a block away from me. Poncho, sombrero, big beard.
Poncho and a sombrero, so he was
I know,
staying dry. He was staying dry.
Very, very stereotypical waiter at Chevy's. But the weird thing is, he had a stick for an arm.
Oh.
Jutting out of his shoulder is a stick, a big branch.
Mm-hmm.
There's not an arm there. It's a stick coming out where his arm should be. The other area looked like an arm, right?
Ooh.
I keep walking, and we get closer, and I say, hello. He doesn't say anything. I say, hi, I can see you there, as I'm maybe 10 steps away. He doesn't say anything. So I'm like, okay, goodbye. And I cross the street, and I start walking up the other way. I see him turn around. And I'm like, and it's a pretty big hill. I'm like, I go into the street to try to wave cars down, to try to explain that there's a stick-armed man following me.
If only they'll let me explain.
Yeah, no, they just drove off. I think because I'm like, stick. There's a stick. It's no arm. Stick, branch arm.
But this was in the Bay Area?
This is in the Bay Area. This is in Berkeley, yeah.
All right,
Hmm.
so like some dude could have just been holding sticks.
That's very Berkeley, Bay
I don't
Area.
know. I just like
You running around talking about a man with a stick for an arm is the
That's-
eighth craziest thing someone was shouting on the
I
street
know,
at that moment in
that's
Berkeley.
really not
probably
that
why
weird.
nobody stopped.
Like it's
But it was-
weird-ish.
It wasn't a branch that he was holding. This was
All
a
right.
stick for an arm.
I also like how you struck such a playful tone with him, because according to your own description, you said, "Hi, I can see you there." Like you're playing a little game with him.
I'm
Yeah, like
I'm
what were your
always very
intentions
polite.
with the stick man?
I don't want to get attacked.
Oh, so you thought maybe he could like launch his branch arm at you?
I don't know. I don't know if he knew I was even there.
But you have to assume his powers are limitless.
Because he was a crackhead holding sticks.
His powers might have been limitless.
I mean, he could have caused a really big fire.
It's true. He's got
lit his
kindling for a
arms on
damn
fire.
On
arm.
himself, yeah.
If he rubs it fast enough on the concrete.
He might have not been the scariest supernatural figure that exists in urban myth, but the stick-arm man is not somebody you want to meet on a hill at
No.
nighttime. That's all.
Well,
I'm gonna
no,
say.
even in the daytime, I don't want to meet a crackhead pretending he has sticks for arms. You know?
I think in daytime I would be less scared.
Oh, was it at nighttime?
Oh, it was nighttime. Yeah. It
Oh,
was
okay.
it was like midnight. Yeah.
Oh, midnight. Yeah, that
Yeah,
does
yeah,
make
yeah.
set the stage for everything being creepier. Were
yeah.
other people noticing him when you were like, "Hey, there's a crazy, creepy
No,
stick guy"?
it was too late. No, there was no pedestrians. It was just dark, dimly lit North Berkeley Street with a few cars coming down the hill and going.
And then
up
he
the hill.
like just like walked by and disappeared.
Yeah. I mean, I was booking it
Okay.
as fast as I could speed walk
Yeah.
back up that hill, which wasn't fast. It was a hill.
So very briefly, the McDonald's in downtown Berkeley was not the scariest place in the city for once.
That McDonald's, man, is something else.
Sarah, I know you had an experience. Do you want to tell your story?
All right. I'm going to preface this story with another story, which is when I was growing up, my aunt and uncle lived in a weird, creepy old house in Boston. And one time when we were visiting them, my aunt told me this story about how she entered the bedroom in the middle of the day and she saw a boy with a three-cornered hat. And she freaked out and ran away and then came back in and he was gone. And she went and actually consulted with a paranormal expert who came to her house, and she claims that without even telling her what she saw, that the lady was like, oh yeah, you have a little boy living in this house, but he knows you didn't like seeing him, so he's not going to come back again. And my aunt was like, phew, okay.
And he would play his fife at night.
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, after this, like, I remember my aunts and the cousins and my sister and I, like, went out. And then when we came back, all the uncles who had still been at the house, you know, drinking and watching sports or whatever, actually pulled a prank on us where they pulled up all the blinds in the house and opened the curtains. And then when they came in, they cut the lights and my aunt started screaming. So then, of course, all the kids started screaming. We thought that the house was been haunted. Anyway, then they all popped out and they were like, whoa, blah, 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 blah. We tricked you. Anyway,
Nothing
That's-
like an uncle's hobby in traumatizing their wives and children. Like nothing quite says uncle.
I also feel like I can't blame them because, like, I feel like trolling kids is like, what's the point of having kids if you can't like troll them sometimes? But my
No,
like aunts are
touche.
so gullible, you know. Of course, their immediate thought was, "Ghosts are here."
I feel like whenever videos of this kind of thing are posted online, there's always commenters who are like, "This is cruel to children," and you're like, "It's funny. Come on, they'll be fine."
Those aren't the things that I'm in therapy for. Okay. All right. So fast forward to maybe 2010, 2011. I was living with my two friends, my girlfriends from college, and this building, I actually looked it up today to see if it was very old or something, but not particularly. It was built in the 60s. And people started living in it in the 80s. But I do remember mostly old people lived in this building. It wasn't like mostly college kids and stuff like my roommate and I. So anyway, one day I went to bed and in the middle of the night, I just woke up for no reason and I saw a woman standing in the middle of my room. And she did not look ghost like in any way. She wasn't pale or transparent. It was just like a chick in the middle of my room. I
Was
feel
she
like
young, old?
I feel like we're in the Midnight Society.
Like that show, Are You Afraid of the Dark? That's right. That's a vibe I'm cultivating. I'm going to add
All
the
right.
sound of crackling fire.
Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. The story of the weird shoulder bitch. Okay. So, to answer your question, so she was facing away from me, but it was a petite looking person, like a maybe teenager, maybe a young woman, and she had her head to her right shoulder like she was holding something between it. And I shot up in my bed. My heart was pounding out of my chest. And the scariest part was that when I sat up, she turned around like
No.
she heard me. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
She's like, "Oh, someone else is here." And she's looking at me, but I can't see her face because it's too dark. But I'm fumbling for the lamp, and I felt like an eternity before I could turn my lamp on. And when I turned it on, it was gone. But it scared the fuck out of me.
Yeah, hey Sarah, what the fuck?
Shoulder bitch went back to her home planet. No, that sounds terrifying. And now,
That's so scary.
for extra context, we should say that Sarah is you describe yourself as a pretty skeptical person, right? You're not much for the supernatural.
All right.
necessarily.
So I was raised Jewish. I say I'm Jewish. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any of this stuff. I don't believe in the afterlife. So like having seen this ghost genuinely like fucked with me. It really fucked with
Yeah.
me bad. Because it's like, in one hand, maybe there's ghosts, which means that there's an afterlife, which is like, okay, now I have to accept there's an afterlife. Like, where to begin with that? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then if there's an afterlife, you can be a ghost. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Right.
Although it's always been my dream when I die to be a ghost at the haunted mansion. I would love for that to happen.
Oh, for sure.
No, maybe that could happen. But I feel like it could be like saying like when you become a priest, you want to be like the Pope. You know what I mean? I feel like you have to be an elite ghost to get in the haunted mansion. But anyway,
That's the big leagues. That's the 1%.
the really big leagues.
Ghosts
Hollywood,
call it the show.
baby.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, I was like, well, maybe I just hallucinated it and I'm going crazy. And I called my then boyfriend, and it was like the middle of the night, like 2 a.m. or something. And he was like one of these really annoying militant atheists who like loved Richard Dawkins. You know what I mean? Was always talking about Richard Dawkins. And he was completely unamused, and he was like, this never happened, you imagined it, go to bed. And I was crying on the phone. I had a BlackBerry. I remember I was crying on my BlackBerry begging for him to come over because I was so scared to go to sleep. I was like, I cannot sleep, I cannot be alone. He's like, rah, rah, rah. That ghosts aren't real. Read Richard Dawkins, good night.
His comforting words were a book recommendation.
He probably didn't say that exactly. Anyway, I couldn't sleep the rest of the night. I remember I told my roommates the next day, I was like, I saw this happen. And one of my roommates was like, oh, next time you see her, tell her to come to my room so we can talk. Like, what the fuck are you talking? You think I'm gonna talk to a fucking entity so you can like converse? Like, no. So I remembered what my aunt said about the paranormal expert saying like that the ghost knew that you didn't like seeing it, so it wasn't going to come back. So I remember stomping around my apartment in like every room and being like, I didn't like seeing you, ghost. Don't come back, ghost. You're not welcome here, ghost. And
I've heard that is the trick to get them to go away, right? It sounds ridiculous, but as a 50-50, yeah, you have no power over me. Go away, ghost. I don't want you here.
Ghosts are surprisingly fragile, if that's the case. Very
I don't
sensitive.
think it's that surprising.
Very
I mean, they're
sensitive.
transparent. I mean,
but I figured maybe I would take the advice of the quote unquote expert, and I never saw the ghost again. But it genuinely scared me and spooked me. I still remember it. And to this day, though, I still can't say if I think ghosts are real because nothing happened like that ever again. But in the same way, it makes me feel like maybe it was more real because I still haven't had anything like that happen again. No dreams, no nothing. Like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. But if it happened again, I might think twice. But Tavis, the way you were saying you saw something with your sister, to me, that would really only be the only kind of way I would believe it is if Spencer saw it with me.
If shoulder bitch ever appears again, I'll tell her to go talk to your old roommate so you don't have. That's the great thing about being married.
True, very true.
Yeah, the shoulder thing just reminds me of if anybody's seen Haunting of Hill House, the bent neck lady.
Oh yeah.
Is anybody familiar? Yeah. Ew.
Yeah.
Does she have a similar like?
Yeah,
stance?
she like same thing. Like her hair, her neck, her head is to her neck, and you don't know what happened until it's discovered that this character had hung herself, and it was her
shoulder
broken
bitch
neck.
syndrome. Yeah,
Shoulder bitch syndrome, precisely.
Damn it! When will they find a cure? I walk in that marathon every year. So, Sarah, would it be fair to say that you're open to a rational explanation as to what happened, but you also know what you saw? Like, it felt very real, right?
Yes, it felt very real, but I also know like we can't trust all of our senses all the time. But if they're like, okay, because basically what it comes down to for me is that now there's cameras everywhere. So certainly there would be recordings, I think, of paranormal disturbances at this point, and there are none, because I've kind of always been waiting for that to happen. And if it did, I would believe. But there's nothing. So I don't know what to say about it other than I had like a personal experience, but I can't say it confirms an afterlife or the existence of ghosts. But I don't know. You know, I feel like the fact that there's no dinosaur ghosts or anything is like sus, as the kids say. But like, maybe it's that the window is really short, and that also maybe we are limited by our senses. We can't see other types of weird things. I don't know.
We can't see infrared. Like, what else can't we see? You know?
We know there's stuff we can't see. It's just the question is if what we can see includes ghosts.
Right. That is the question. Okay, Tavis, earlier you were teasing this story, another weird thing that happened to you when you were a kid. Go ahead and tell us that story.
Gonna sound a little goofy at first.
I don't like that.
Bear with me. All right, so.
I don't know how it could sound goofier than a man with stick arms, but please.
One arm! One arm! A normal human arm.
We got shoulder bitch and branch bitch. Who's next?
All right, so after my parents got a divorce and we lost all of our money, my mom moved to the country, some land in the country. That's what she did with the remainder of her money. She bought land, married a French artist, and we slowly built a house there. But so I'm thinking I was maybe 11, 12 years old. My sister's 2 years younger than me. Out playing, trying to not play anywhere near her. And in my, I should have drawn a map for this. At the
that would really help our
my
listeners.
parents, we have like the driveway coming up, and then you go a little bit, and then there's the house, and it's a big hill behind the house, and kind of a hill below the house. It's a lot of hills. So I go down one of the hills below the house. There's like a glade of trees, and what I can only describe as some sort of forest spirit comes out of the tree. A small elfin leprechaun looking forest spirit comes out of the tree and tells me I'm the chosen one.
Oh,
I know. I'm having psychosis at 12.
A Jedi you are.
And that there is something evil that I need to face the driveway goes up, and then there's some land on the other side of the driveway. That's where this evil thing exists. Basically, the end of the driveway on this other part of the land, right? So I wouldn't really go over that part of the land ever to play. But the weird thing is, I don't know how long I was doing this for, but for the sake of the story, I will say 5 years. Probably more like 1. I would go out between our house and the driveway where the other side of the driveway was where this evil spirit thing was supposed to live. And I would, while not wearing any clothes, I would put stones in patterns and do a dance. I would do
you
this,
invoked them.
I would do this random kind of wizard spell as a child that I thought was putting up a barrier between the evil thing and the rest of the family.
How would you describe the choreography if you had to put it into words?
Fast. I didn't stay out there long. It was cold and nighttime, and I think most of the time I wasn't wearing clothes. And I was scared. So
did your mom ever catch you doing this?
No, my parents never did. But here's where the story really gets weird.
Here's where it gets weird. Okay.
So this is up until I'm maybe 13 or 14. I think I stopped doing this in middle school. I go off to college.
This at the beck and call of the weird leprechaun, or just because it was
I-
like the ritual.
It never told me
You-
to do that. I just felt
Oh.
like I should do that.
You arrived
Okay.
at this idea
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's the chosen one. He
Yeah,
knows what
true.
he's
That's
doing.
right. All right.
okay?
You're right. You're
I-
right. I can't
yeah,
believe
right?
I questioned.
Who better
I
to
don't
know
need
what
to
to do?
question my instinct as the chosen one.
Yeah.
It's
How dare you
chosen
speak to the
instinct.
chosen one that way, Sarah?
I go to university. I'm back home for the holidays. I'm in my house, and we're drinking, and it's me and my sister drinking, and we never really drank before. And I make some sort of joke about being the chosen. I was just, shut up, Ashley. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm the chosen one. And she says, no, no, no. I'm the chosen one. The forest spirit told me so.
Uh-oh.
I'm like,
shit.
what are
That's
you
weird as
talking about?
fuck.
I've never
Uh-oh.
told anybody this story. The forest spirit told me I'm the chosen one. They told me down in that little foresty glade. She's like, I've never told anybody that story. The forest spirit told me this. She, on different nights, she was going out in that same area and putting rocks in a formation and doing a dance. We were doing it on alternating nights.
Wow.
Isn't that super weird? I was really scared that night. I was like, so this dark thing exists? So there's some sort of evil we have to fight? I haven't been back to my parents' house in like 5 years.
So you never saw the evil thing.
No.
Okay.
Hmm.
So after I saw my ghost, I remember I told my mom about it on the phone, and she was like, what if there's a homeless person squatting in your apartment? And I was like, well, that's even scarier than a ghost.
It is
Thank you.
scarier.
Absolutely.
So I remember opening all the closets and telling my roommates to do the same, just to be sure, because that really freaked me out. So, Tavis, what if there was like some pedophile hiding in the woods who like knew children would dance for him naked? If he told
This
them
is-
that they
this
were
On
is-
alternate
the
nights.
chosen person.
I'm only satiated when they dance for me naked. Not every night. I don't want the same child every night. I'll get bored.
That
You're the
would be-
chosen one.
I want a 20. I'll tell them they're the chosen one when I wear green
If they
makeup.
took their clothes off and did a little dance, they could fight the evil.
It never occurred to me he might tell all the boys they're the chosen one. What a sleazebag.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what a
Wait,
jerk.
so did you and your sister compare notes about the leprechaun's appearance and stuff?
Yeah, I mean it had been over like a decade since we'd experienced that strange experience. But yeah, it was very similar. Leprechaunish character coming out of the tree. I think she said she saw it on the tree where it kind of came to life out of the tree from my experience. But yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, I hope it wasn't a local pedo.
I know. You've just unlocked
Just a paranormal
Rebecca,
one,
I'm gonna need
a folklore one.
some of your help.
It was a guy who was working as a Santa's elf at the mall who just wandered into your
You
neighborhood.
hypnotize me.
I will say that is funny because, like, if it is, I'm thinking about how, like, usually in legends, forest spirits like that are very like naughty, you know. So it does kind of make me giggle. Hopefully, it's not a pedophile. So hopefully,
Naughty.
Oh, I'll
hopefully
regret
it's
this if it was a
actually-
pedophile.
it's actually a forest spirit that was just trolling you and was like, "You're the chosen one, buddy. You gotta do this little dance."
We lived in the middle of the woods. If it was a pedophile, they really put in the effort. Like we were 7 miles from the nearest village, like, and then up a random dirt hill to another random dirt road. Like, boy,
Yeah, not all pedophiles make house calls.
and this guy was a hiker too. So
Of all the places I've been in my life, I think the most likely to be haunted is the Paris catacombs.
Oh,
which
100%.
seems a little on the nose because it's a fucking basement full of miles long basement full of skulls. But when I was down there, I was genuinely feeling very uneasy. And if you ever have a chance to go because it's terrifying and really strange. to be in a room full of skulls like you're Kroll the Conqueror or something. It's really weird.
I love that. I actually went to, and it's still honestly one of my favorite places. I went to Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum in Las Vegas. Does anybody know who Zach
I've heard of
Bagans
the
is?
museum.
Is
I
he a
think a
hobbit?
student was telling me
Oh,
about
he's a douchebag.
Oh, okay.
He hosts Ghost Adventures, which is probably the most popular like ghost hunting show. And it's set up as reality, but it's hysterical. Highly
Mhm.
recommend. It's got a cult following, but he owns a literal like haunted empire, and one of these is the museum in Las Vegas. And so he's bought a lot of stuff from like Ed and is it Lorraine Warren, the very popular like ghost hunters from like the 60s and 70s.
Oh, from the
Um
Conjuring movies. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
And so but he bought all this shit, right? Like so he's got like all of these like serial killer like memorabilia. He has like a signed letter from like John Wayne Gacy. Um,
Ooh.
he has this Dybbuk box, which is really scary. Just like what they consider to be like an ancient demon in this little box that has to be under tight security. Not because anybody would steal it, but because they've had weird shit happen with this Dybbuk box. Like a lot of people like faint around it and stuff.
Mm.
So it's like behind this like this thick plexiglass. But one time I remember, or I was only there once, so not one time, but when I was there, I was looking at like some video. And I think it was like I think it was a serial killer exhibit of some kind. Or like yeah, it was an exhibit, and all of a sudden I hear like this 14-year-old boy like right in my ear, eh, like prepubescent, I don't know, teen, and it I think he just said like, "Hey." It was something so mundane that I was like, "Oh, it's just some kid talking to their parent." And like I kind of whipped my head around. There is nobody in my group that would have like had that kind of voice,
Mm.
nor were they that close to my ear. Like they were all a few feet away from me. Um, so I mean, not quite not quite the shoulder bitch story, but
No, that's
definitely
creepy.
Yeah,
yeah,
really creepy.
definitely experience. And the whole thing too, I've never had like a sight to sight with ghosts, but definitely a sort of like I feel a lot of like pressure or like um yeah, like pressure. And so the Haunted Museum, highly recommend the next time you're in Vegas, even if you don't believe in ghosts and whatnot. It's an awesome fucking blast. And there's a lot of history and stuff there. That's pretty cool too.
Do you recommend it on mushrooms?
Oh, 100%. Oh
Okay,
my
good.
God.
I
The
was hoping
way to
you'd say that.
go. The way to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I will be your sponsor.
Thank you, Spirit Guide. Later, I want to go to the buffet. Okay, does anyone else have anything? Do you want to?
I do, just for fun.
Absolutely.
If you
Let's do it.
include it,
Of
if you
course.
include it, great. But has anybody been following this Annabelle story? Annabelle the doll?
No, tell us.
I know there's a
This
movie
Yes. Okay. So yes,
franchise.
exactly. About Annabelle. Yes.
Hmm.
So same people, Ed and Lorraine Warren, very famous ghost hunters, kind of were fake at what they did, but they like kind of gathered all of this like haunted memorabilia in order to build their own haunted museum. And so that's where Zach Baggins got a lot of his stuff. But one of these things is Annabelle the doll, who's this like Raggedy Ann doll. She's behind a glass case for most of the time, and they're very strict about how you interact with Annabella or Annabelle. They're very strict on how you interact with Annabelle. Like, you know, you can't insult her, you can't open the glass door or whatever for her because she's so powerful.
Don't
And
make fun
people
of
have
her
had
outfit.
don't make fun of her outfit, don't make fun of her hair. Exactly. And yeah, people have had weird experiences supposedly that like they'll insult her and then they'll be on the drive from the museum and crashed their car or something. So one of the rules that Ed and Lorraine claimed was she does not want to be moved. Fast forward to this year, Annabelle is going on tour.
She's not going to like that.
No, she's not. She has not liked that because
she will not fly coach.
She was just in New Orleans, and not only did that prison escape in New Orleans happen, where like there was like 8 prisoners in like a high felony prison that had just escaped, but also that plantation burned down.
Shit, she's doing mad work.
And people are like, oh, Annabelle is Black Lives Matter. She is
she's full woke.
She is down for the activism. But all of this weird shit has happened, and apparently I just read about it to make sure my sources were right, but there was a rumor that she went missing for a minute, and that still could have happened. They found her since. But yes, that was the very start of her tour, and like a bunch of weird shit has happened.
Wow. So the next stop on her tour is going to be Dallas, and suddenly, mysteriously, there's going to be all these new DEI initiatives. It's insane.
Oh. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Spooky shit, right?
Oh.
Yeah, it's like funny because I feel like every day I wake up and hope someone or something is gonna save us. And like, what if it was Annabelle?
Truly.
What if it was Annabelle? Like we keep waiting for Jesus, but like, what if it was Annabelle?
There's memes of like Annabelle walking toward the White House with like a gun in hand, and they're like, Annabelle, you're our only hope.
Don't waste your prayers on shoulder, bitch. Pray to Annabelle to save us.
We were camping in Joshua Tree at a really cool campsite. We were like completely surrounded by like desert mountains and things like that. And if you've ever been to Joshua Tree, you know, they really lean into the New Age mysticism thing there.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So we were camping, and then in the middle of the night, I woke up and I heard footsteps circling our tent. And I immediately was wide awake and my heart was pounding, and I was staring at my husband, your host, Spencer, who was pretending to be asleep.
I was wanting to be asleep.
So I thought he was asleep, and I was just awake and like waiting to see if anything was going to happen. And eventually it did stop. But I was shocked the next day when I asked Spencer, did you hear someone walking around our tent at night? And he said, yes. I was like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Like, if he had been awake, I would have been like, Spencer, get our gun. Of course, we don't have a gun. You know what I mean? But like something.
At least
Spencer would have been like, oh God, do I have to?
I'm so bad at improv, I would have fumbled the initiation. I'd have been like, but I don't have a gun. Oh, fuck, that's not what you're supposed to say.
But Spencer heard it, and the footsteps were very loud and circling our tent. And to this day, I don't know what that was. Maybe an animal, but like, what in the desert is that big? I don't know. I think maybe someone was just drunk or something. Like, is this my tent? I don't know. But I really don't know what the fuck that was.
I think I was trying to tell myself, go back to sleep. It's okay. It's just an animal. But you're right. I mean, I don't know what kind of animal is that
you
heavy.
You should have thought I should wake up and see if my wife is scared and staring at you.
I should have told it to go talk to your college roommate.
Yeah, for real. But that was weird as fuck.
That was weird, yeah. Joshua Tree is a very magical / spooky place. I'm glad we went, though. That was cool.
I did also look up once if that campsite was haunted and didn't see anything, so I don't know. I don't know what that was. Something was walking around, but it is possible also that maybe the way sound was traveling, it sounded like it was close to our tent and was not.
Did you Google Joshua Tree shoulder bitch?
That's what I should have Googled.
Did you Bing it?
Oh my God, there's a million results. I see it now.
Clack, clackety, clackety, clack.
Hello, my name is Renata Arkadin, founder of The Happy Medium. From a very young age, I've possessed the gift to reach the other side, to commune with spirits that have left their material bodies, but for some reason remain bound to our earthly realm. Do you desire communion with a loved one who has passed on? Is there a message you want to send? Do you wish to remind them that you're alive and they are dead, and to rub it in their faces? There are many reasons why a spirit may not cross over fully after the moment of death. Unfinished business, a guilty secret, a debt unpaid. I have the power handed down from my mother and her mother before her to contact these spirits and to really stir up some shit. Losing a loved one can be hard. It's even harder when your loss is compounded by the regret of what you left unsaid. Call the Happy Medium today. I will come to your home, beckon the spirit of the deceased, and tell them what you never got a chance to. I'll tell your dead grandma you're gay. I'll tell your mom she needs rehab. I'll tell your dad he's an asshole and his quesadillas taste like shit. If you call now, I'll even tell your deceased brother that you're the one who stole his Jim Abbott rookie card and that he's dead because that's what God wanted. Life is for the living, and it's too short for regrets. The Happy Medium can help you break down the wall between the material world and the spiritual world, and really stick it to the people who were dicks to you. I'm Renata Arkadin, the Happy Medium. Call today, and I'll make sure you get the last word, so you may rest in peace.
Okay, this is part 2 of our show. We're talking ghosts, and I'm now joined by
Zack Johnson.
Claire Rice.
And Puja Tolton.
Okay, Claire, so you had a haunting you wanted to report? Go ahead.
I believed I was haunted by a bald man who was this old guy who would hang around, and he would like just hang out behind doors and hover over me at night when I was trying to sleep. And I've woken up and he's like standing over my bed. One time it was so scary. I opened my eyes. There he was. I screamed, jumped across the bed, ran into the closet, and I thought in my head, I was like, oh, that was just a dream. He's obviously not going to still be there when you turn around. And I turned around and he was 100% still there. And he was starting to climb over the bed. And then Matt turned the light on and he was gone. But even in childhood, like even like he would be just hanging out behind doors or around corners or like walking around near me, like just this
Does he age
old
with
bald
you?
dude.
Or is he always the
No,
same?
he's always old. He's always this old bald guy.
Does this stem from a childhood trauma where you got your mouth washed out with Mr. Clean?
Does he have an earring?
Oh, that would be great. It would be awesome if he was Mr. Clean and or a pirate or like a thumb. Like if he wasn't actually a guy, he was just a massive thumb that was
Is he-
hanging around.
What's he wearing?
Nothing, mostly.
Wait,
Oh.
huh.
I mean, I can't say like he's just like I don't see like he's not in like clothes. It's just like he's like sort of like this embodiment of like things that I'm afraid of, I think.
Did you watch The King and I a lot when you were a kid?
Oh gosh, I know. I'd like to be haunted by Yul Brynner. So
So the guy you're seeing is not sexy.
He's not like
he's
a
not
charming.
sexy.
Okay.
He's not charming. It's not pleasant. He's very much like I don't know, like no, it's not pleasant at all. Like it's like I mean he's got liver spots. It's very like he's a very specific man, but he's not a man I've ever met before.
Does he seem to want anything?
To frighten me. Like that seems to be the purpose. Like I kind of wish this was jokier. Like I really wish I'd seen like an old lady who just like whispered hush in the corner, like but like no, it's like he's a scary guy that and I think like probably oh so I don't believe in ghosts,
because I do believe that humans have fear and that we sort of lock stuff in our brains, and our brains are always trying to like make sense of the things that we're thinking and the things that we're afraid of and like our hopes and dreams, and then they manifest those in ways. So I'm afraid of the dark, even though I don't believe in ghosts. I'm afraid of being alone in a cemetery at night. I don't really want to do that, even though I don't actually think anything's going to jump out from, but it might, but it
I mean,
won't.
I don't either, but that's because I'm afraid of teens making out and drinking Strawberry Hill.
Yeah, and that's a fair fear.
Something bad might not necessarily happen, but nothing good could happen. So it's best avoided the graveyard at midnight, I think.
Did you guys ever hang out in graveyards at night? I was more of a golf course drinker.
I literally had my first kiss in a graveyard.
Ah, so goth of you.
Yeah, it wasn't especially goth.
It was just convenient at the
It
time.
was just convenient, yeah. Yeah.
There's a corner of my kitchen that is, if not haunted, at least cursed. My wife and I broke several dishes while standing in this particular corner of the kitchen, and this is the cursed corner of the kitchen. We keep breaking, so we started being extremely careful about like not setting anything glass down in this particular corner. And at one point, I was standing there. There was a whiteboard hung on the wall by 2 nails. While I was there, one of the nails came loose. The whiteboard swung around and shattered the carafe of the coffee maker that was sitting right on the counter in that corner. So, like, this is just the corner where everything gets broken, regardless of whether we're involved in it or not.
Wow, and then when you turn the whiteboard back over, it said "Die, Zack, die."
It just said "boo."
Do you want to see a ghost?
It would be interesting to suddenly see something that led me to believe that ghosts were real. Sure. I mean, I guess everybody would like to think that death is not the end of everything, right? But
And I think that's why basically every culture has ghost stories, because I think it's just human nature to be like, no, we don't have to die. That's optional. That's just human. That's why it's across. That's why it's across every society.
That can't possibly be the deal.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated by the concept. Like, as a storyteller, I think it's really fun. You know, I played a D&D character who was this like necromancer witch medium.
Editor's note: D&D is Dungeons and Dragons.
If you don't know that, you're a freaking nerd, okay?
If you don't know that,
I feel
you're
like the Venn diagram of podcast listeners and people who don't know what Dungeons and Dragons is fairly.
That's probably unnecessary.
Look, if you're gonna have me on your podcast, you're gonna get at least one D&D reference per episode, okay?
I don't mind. I'm just making sure my parents aren't confused.
It's in the Spencer's parents, listen up.
I have a cosmological question here. If, let's say, the Catholics are right, you die, you go to heaven. Are you a ghost in heaven? Because I used to think as a kid, like, oh, you become an angel, but no, angels are some weird other species that was here before us, right? So are you just a ghost? Like,
I always assumed that a ghost was a spirit that did not go to heaven for some reason.
Oh, I see. A ghost can only be not in its final form as either a heaven soul or a tortured hell soul.
I mean, my understanding, and I'm not a Christian, is that there's it's sort of like a second life. You are reborn in this utopia. So there's sort of it's a separate way of living, of being, and ghosts are a whole different thing. And I don't know if ghosts are actually like within the. I mean, I guess there's the whole exorcism thing, but in terms of the text, I don't know.
Well, there's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
That's right. You got me
So what's
there.
that? That's the part of Jesus that still had some shit to do before he could.
Well, he came back, and I mean, yeah, maybe he came back and like fully forward, like, and then he ascended again. Like, there's just sort of like there's an up and down with Jesus. It seems
Wouldn't it be crazy if you inherited your uncle's sprawling Scottish estate, except the conditions are that you had to spend one night there in order to enact the will fully, and then it's haunted, like you obviously expected it to be.
Of course.
But it's haunted by the Holy Ghost. You like
Oh my
actually get to meet 1/3 of the Trinity as he's rattling the windows and making the walls bleed.
Oh, that would be great. I have so many questions.
Make that movie. I'd watch it.
Yeah, I got a Ouija board. He'll answer them all.
Oh, Ouija boards. Okay, this is a ghost episode topic, Ouija boards. Despite the fact that I don't really believe in ghosts, I don't fuck with Ouija boards. Those things.
Too scary?
Yeah, they're too scary. I see. To answer the question, do you want to see a ghost? No, I don't want to see a ghost. I don't want to see a ghost. It's either someone I don't know and freaky, or it's someone I know and I'm like, I don't. That is not how I want to deal with this relationship.
I definitely don't want to see someone I knew in real life. That would be profoundly disturbing and like very confusing to my worldview. But if I just saw like a random old
You
lady,
want a rando.
old lady with like a sack of potatoes who's like, it's getting late. Like that would be fun. But I don't want to see I don't want to see a dead relative or friend. That would be
You wouldn't
awful.
want to see a ghost that you could actually maybe have a conversation with?
I guess it depends on how lucid the ghost is. We have too many rules to establish here.
That's true.
Yeah, I go. If it was just like an apparition that sounded like it was half faded out, like some David Lynch sound design, it would be almost too weird to talk to them. But if they just sat down like Jiminy Cricket on the end of the bed, like, hey, so hey, how you doing? Like, okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, I feel like if I ran into the ghost of my dad, I would hope that he was lucid enough to be like, okay, quick, you have to watch Deadwood. You would have really, really liked this, and you didn't get to see
That
it.
is cute.
And it bums me out all the time. So let's like, do you have like 18 hours? 'Cause
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Yeah, my family and their hippiedom were way more into like past lives, reincarnation, that sort of thing. So there was definitely some like, when I was very little, I would talk about like, I mean, I would just say weird shit as little kids do, but I'd be like, oh yeah, when I was an old woman, I did this. And then my dad was like, oh yeah, for sure. You're just so young that you can remember when you were an old woman. And he'd talk about his past lives. So I don't know if past lives and ghosts can go along, because you would assume that you would be reincarnating again, right?
yeah, ghosts could be just between
Yeah.
celebrities.
Yeah.
I would have more ability to believe in past lives if everyone wasn't descended from someone, famous along the chain.
Oh, yeah, my grandma swears up and down she's descended from a Spanish princess.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, yeah, no, she's like, I went into this church in Spain and I just felt like I was home. And not only that, like I was drawn to this one pew where the guy told us that this was where this princess sat. And I was like, yeah, sure, grandma. Okay.
That's a
It's just
solid chain of evidence.
the real imperialist instinct to the core is just to walk into some place in a foreign country and think, yeah, this is probably mine.
Yeah. Is it just me, or does the American South have more ghosts than the North? Is it the climate?
Yeah, it's so humid. They just kind of, congeal.
The air is very conducive to floating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you move slower. It's like harder to get places.
It's like those ghosts in the North are just in a big old hurry all the time.
They're just in a hurry. They just gotta, they don't have any unfinished business. They just do all their business. It's a damn shame.
Maybe not as much to be haunted by in the North. I'm looking at you, American South.
Yeah, that's also very fair.
Yeah, there's more people who the wearing sheets before they died.
That's very true. Yes.
I love A Christmas Carol so much because telling ghost stories at Christmas used to be like, I mean, they used to be a tradition. And like, they didn't all have happy endings. And it's in part because people went to midnight mass. And you would go and participate in this very late night dark thing in the middle of like the darkest season. And you needed to spend time like doing something, like waiting for this, the dark mass that you were going to have. So you sat around and told ghost stories. I think that's fabulous. What a wonderful thing.
People used to tell each other stories, and now we just recommend TV shows. Here, they can tell you a story. I don't feel like doing it, but it's good. It's good. Watch it.
I always found the Ichabod Crane story like spooky, like the Headless
Oh.
Horseman. Oh, I love it. Like the flaming pumpkin head being thrown off as he's riding over the bridge. Very spooky, very fun.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I feel like, well, that was like post-colonial America, right? That was like early 1800s, or was that later? When was
Yeah,
Washington
yeah.
Irving?
Yeah.
That is what like Grail Marcus called the old weird America, where there's just something about 18th, like 19th, 18th century America that just feels like a land of ghosts.
They were just everywhere back then, I feel like.
We did kill kind of a lot of dudes on the way in, you
Well,
know.
we were prolific ghost creators. Let's put it that way.
Is there a type of ghost that wouldn't be scary?
Well,
I mean, you talked about like being excited about seeing one, but like, I mean, that kind of makes me think, what does make a ghost scary? Like, if we can't touch it, if we can't like, I don't know, like, is there a version on television we've seen that it hasn't been too super scary? Like
I mean,
Casper.
the scary ones in
Casper.
fiction are usually corpsey, right? Like they're
Yeah.
skeleton, they're bony, they're like grim reapery, right? Like a hood with no face in it, or
making us think of our own deaths.
Where did the sheet ghost thing come from? Like that feels like it was probably one cartoon in the 30s, and then like this is what just every child's drawing of a ghost is going to look like for the next 200 years.
Someone drew a pirate once, and that's what a pirate looks like now.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like with Vikings. They didn't actually have horns on their helmets.
Yeah.
If they had helmets.
Yeah, that's a great question, Zach. The sheet thing is very peculiar, and it almost feels like they just invented that to make costumes easier to design.
That was going to be my guess,
Like,
too.
let's just say this
that
is what
it's
ghosts
just-
look like, because this is what we've got to
Yeah.
work with.
The eye holes were just there so that children could see through the sheet when they were dressed as ghosts, and then they became a feature of the ghost itself.
Like, is a ghost specific, or is it more like a general spirit? You know, if it's just like we were talking about, like seeing someone you know, or seeing like a specific person, that has a certain connotation. But this is just a generic ghost that you can put whatever sort of energy you want to on top of it, and it could take on whatever meaning you want it to. So
It's a blank
it's
piece of
just a
paper
shape.
we can project on. We can project onto.
Project, yes.
You know, to answer your earlier question, I wouldn't be scared of most animals in ghost form. Like if a little ghost bird flew onto my desk, I think that would be enchanting. It wouldn't be scary at all. Or even a dog, maybe even something larger. But animals in general, I think, would be generally unthreatening as ghosts because it wouldn't remind me of my own mortality, and I wouldn't think they have unfinished business so much as they just got lost.
Oh, it's genuinely poetic. A little bird got lost on the way somewhere.
Yeah, I would say, and like to think about a ghost of someone you know versus not. If it was like an old pet, I think I would get some joy out of that, depending on the interaction, I guess. But like seeing an old like dog or cat that I used to have one last time, I'd be like, yeah, oh, and you know, it would feel like it had meaning. It was like it came to say goodbye to me, you know.
See, I think I would just feel guilty. I'd be like, shit, I have like fully pivoted to the new cat. I'm sorry, buddy.
That's like in Castaway when Tom Hanks like suddenly resurfaced when everyone thought he was dead and his wife was like his fiance was already married to another guy and they're just like, yeah, we didn't think you were coming back. Sorry, Tom Hanks.
Sorry, Mr. Whiskers.
Has Tom Hanks ever been a ghost in a movie?
Oh, I mean, he terrified me in Polar Express, but not because he was a ghost.
Are we sure he was so many characters in Polar Express? Are we sure one of them wasn't a ghost?
We don't know that.
Are we sure
There's
that
no way to be sure.
Forrest Gump didn't have a Sixth Sense style twist at the end that we just everyone left
believe
the
it.
theater before the post-credits scene that reveals it.
It's a long movie, you know. You're not staying around for the post credits. I don't know.
He's
He's played
been
so
in-
many parts.
I know he's been in too many movies to not have been a ghost at least once.
Who are the modern actors we know have been ghosts? Bruce Willis.
Wait, don't spoil it.
Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin.
Yes,
Patrick Swayze.
Patrick
Oh,
Swayze.
yeah, Patrick Swayze, classic.
the late Patrick Swayze.
Hey, that's a ghost I can get behind seeing, you know?
That's a
Little
ghost that can
pottery
get
session.
behind you.
Oh, I wish we could afford the song. Can't license that. That, the movie Ghost answered no questions for me, uh, because the rules of ghosts in fiction are so inconsistent. It's like they can grab things, but why don't they fall through the floor? You know what I mean? Like, is it because they will themselves to walk on the floor, and they will themselves to go through certain objects and not others? That always, even as a kid, bothered me, the logic of fictional ghosts, what they can and cannot do.
They expect the floor to be there. I'd read like, oh, the reason the ghosts go through walls is because they're going through doors that were there when they lived here and that aren't
Mm.
there anymore, which that feels like there's a lot more renovation going on in every single haunted house.
Yeah, you don't move doors a lot.
Yeah, it feels.
Yeah, of all the things to move, doors are the least likely, I feel like. But no, I think that from a narrative perspective, I like the idea of that, where it's like the ghosts, it's the reason why they can move through some things and not others is their belief in those things, or their belief, or they don't see those things. So like a floor, they believe the floor is there, so therefore they can't go through it. But
So you could like Wile E. Coyote them if you could explain to them like, hey, wait, what?
if you made them believe there was a hole in the floor, they'd fall right through.
Well, I mean, that was part of the thing. Like, ghosts aren't just like, they're not just like here to finish unfinished business, but they're also trapped by that business.
Right.
Like there's some like sort of like they're the burn residue, some psychological horror that's like, so that they're stuck like repeating either the last things that they did or the worst moment in their life or like their most sorrowful moment just over and over and over again, just sort of this time loop that this spiritual being now lives in, which sounds awful. And like I think that's something to be genuinely afraid of, is like meeting with a creature spirit person that's been trapped. And like, I mean, if I was
Yeah.
there, the one thing I would want is to get out of that loop.
Yeah.
Like I can imagine like breaking glass to, turning off and on light bulbs just to try to like get someone's attention. Like, hey, I need you to grab that Ouija board, dude. I need you to grab that Ouija board. Just ask a question. Just get me out. Rub that lamp, my friend. Rub that lamp.
It's weird because
Yeah.
like they're stuck there in this form where they can't really have any influence on anything. It's kind of like the guy in charge of Cool Hand Luke just assigning tasks just to torture him, right? Like you're here until you can finish your business, but also you can't interact with anything. So
So it seems like when you're a ghost, you're all thumbs. You know what I mean? Okay, I can open and shut this cupboard sometimes, but it's going to be real jerky and slow, and I'm not going to do it very consistently or as quick or as
yeah, and
smoothly
then
as I'd like.
that's it for like a week. That's all I am going to be able to pull off for like a week until the climactic final act of the story when I'm going to do all kinds of crazy shit all at once.
All of a sudden, all the doors are
Yeah,
open. Yeah,
yeah,
everything's
yeah.
You
trees are
gotta
flying through the
gear up
window.
for that sort of, it takes a certain amount of energy to get, do a big climax. You gotta build up to that.
See, if I'm ever a ghost, it had better be fun. I'd better be able to pull crazy pranks and to have some fun with it. Keep it loose as a ghost. I don't want to be one of the haunted, unhappy ghosts. I want to be the ghost that just like messes with people because it's what else can you do to entertain yourself for an eternity?
Oh, I want a Hamlet's dad, everybody. Like, I want to come back to like all kinds of people and just be like, I'm going to give you a revenge task and you a revenge task and you a revenge task. Avenge my spirit. Like, and I'll fake being somebody else's like ghost dad person to like give them a task too. Like, that'll be my whole thing. It's going to be great.
Claire's ghost is here for the drama.
Oh, 100%. Also, I want to hang out and just listen to people's secrets. That sounds fun too.
Yeah, but then could you talk to the other ghosts? Ideally, you would be able to gossip with the other ghosts about the things you're overhearing, because or else it's not as fun if you're just by yourself.
Yeah. No. But hopefully like I can like if I'm giving out revenge tasks, I can also like spill the tea tasks.
Yeah. So
Mm.
you would like live in a married couple's house and just like once every few months for no reason, you'd whisper in the wife's ear, "He's cheating on you."
Oh, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be great.
I'll be the worst. I mean, you should fear me as a ghost.
You should fear me.
I would maybe like haunt a movie theater so that I could see movies as they came out, at
There you
least
go.
as
Ooh.
long as theaters continued to exist. Then I guess I would haunt the vacant lot or virtual reality drome or whatever it turned into in the future.
Aren't there like weird rules about people dying in Disneyland?
Yeah, you're not allowed to.
You're not allowed to die in Disneyland. They
Yeah.
don't want any ghosts there.
No, you mean like protocols, like what they do if that happens?
Yeah, there's protocols. I think so. Yeah, like how to remove it. I don't know enough about this subject to talk about it, but I feel like I've heard that there's something about like either it's like getting people out before they die or like removing their bodies and just it's like technically they didn't die here.
They put the
But-
corpse in a Goofy costume, and then people in Mickey and Minnie costumes carry it out on a stretcher, and they're just like, "Oh, you had too much sugar!" Oh, and they're just... so the kids suspect.
You'll be fine.
So the kid, oh, it'll be okay. Oh, so the kids suspect nothing. I think that's what they do.
I mean, I have heard that if you're on a plane and someone dies next to you, I mean, you just have to sit that out. Like,
Oh yeah.
I've heard that if you're on a plane and somebody dies next to you, you get a 4.0 automatically for that semester.
I've heard that too.
Who would be advantageous to be haunted by? Like Warren Buffett. I realize that Warren Buffett is still alive, but
as of this recording,
I hope that I will outlive him.
Yeah, we all hope so.
We all hope so. My brain went to like actors I really respect, like I don't know, like Alan Rickman.
Oh,
Give
sure.
me like acting advice.
oh, yeah, I don't know. I might like a really old-timey ghost, like the ghost of, Ben Jonson, who is, not as famous as Shakespeare. I think he's really bitter about that. And I think that'd be really fun to hear him bitching about it all the time.
You can really rub it in his face how Shakespeare's really famous even now.
Oh, yeah, we go to Shakespeare things all the time.
So, Claire, all of your stuff is about like creating juicy situations. I want to put this person through something.
You'd pit him against Christopher Marlowe so fast. You'd have those guys bitching each other out.
Oh, it'd be great. But no, I mean, I think I think the same thing like Zack sort of said, like, I mean, there's advantageous, but there's also like the interest, like what happened back then and know the truth about all the things that happens. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say like somebody from the Roanoke colony or something. Like you could just find out like what.
Yeah.
Johnny Carson could come to me in the night and do it like a nightly monologue, but the jokes never get past like 1998. Have you heard this about Monica Lewinsky? Like, oh, I've heard this one, but it's good to see you, Johnny.
Really, any of the Golden Girls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if they haunt separately or if they haunt as a unit, or if they still can't stand B. Arthur even though they're all dead.
Yeah, I was gonna say they don't like actually like each other, right?
Yeah. Even in death.
Even in death.
I wanted to ask you guys if you could ask a ghost a question. What would you ask? I would like to know what the moment of death is like, actually. There's a very good chance the answer would either be comforting or would disturb me until I thought out for myself. But I would like to know. I would like to know about that. That's something I would ask a ghost. How about you?
It's funny because like there's an instinct in me to ask, is there really a God? But like there's also part of me that's like, how would the ghost know? Like, is there like
It's possible they don't know anything we don't know.
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it's just like, and then I'm like, well, should I just be polite? Should I just ask how they are? So, what's up, man?
I wonder
Yeah.
if they would have more questions for us. Because
Yeah.
they're not as plugged into society now, and they're like, oh, wait, who's president? Like, is Home Improvement still on? Like, talk to me. Like, what's going on Earth? Because I'm not getting a lot of information in the ghost world.
Did we ever find America's Funniest Home Video?
What does Baja Blast taste like?
I've been stuck in this Taco Bell and I just watch people pour it. I have no idea.
So that's the newest thing I can think of.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know if I am actually this altruistic, but I feel like I'd ask like how I could help them. If I'm seeing a ghost and if they seem like they're in distress, I'd be like what can I help you? Like, how can I help you pass on?
And then what if they said like, "Oh, that would be incredible. It's just real quick. Could you kill the guy who's fucking my wife?"
Yeah. Would you like me to tell your children that you're still disappointed in them?
Piano's a great place to haunt. Speaking of objects to haunt, nice old grand piano. Yeah.
That's what a player piano is.
Yeah. Oh, my stepdad's really into them.
Just an enslaved ghost.
Yeah, just a ghost that's been an indentured servant inside of a piano.
It's a job.
There are 8 player pianos in my mom's house.
8?
Wow.
Why
Yeah.
is this?
Because my stepdad's obsessed with them. There's one that's upstairs that they actively use. And then there are 7 in the basement. And he's got a bunch of creepy dolls, and he's a very old man. But that basement, he's just accruing haunted objects.
I know a lot of old men with 0 player pianos. Like that is not an explanation.
Okay, the point being that when you get older, you get weird obsessions. You get like a fixation that you build your life around. And he
I like
built
to
it around
call
player
them
pianos.
your late in life degree.
There you go.
Everybody picks a new major.
And he's like a tinkerer, so he likes,
It's not like a train set though. Like how much room could an extra car on your train take up? You commit to a whole nother player piano. This house must be enormous.
It's not. It's quite small.
They're stacked vertically.
Well, it's a basement, so it just takes up a lot of the basement.
I mean, I guess you could put like 5 or 6 player pianos in the space that a car would take up, right?
Yeah.
It's not crazy
Yes.
because of the mass. It's crazy because of the specific composition of them.
I'm picturing a grand piano, which I guess is wrong. It's
Oh,
more
no,
of a
yeah.
little
Yeah, I
upright.
think all player pianos are upright, right?
Yeah, that's
Mhm,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
Traditionally.
Yeah, they're not big. Yeah.
All right. Rescinded. It's totally normal.
It's totally normal.
And that's our show, our most jam-packed show yet. Thanks for listening, and thanks to my guests, Zack Johnson, Tavis Kammet, Becky Raeta, Claire Rice, Sarah Rudnick, and Puja Tolton, and this episode featured Jacquie Duckworth. If you have a question, a comment, or a suggestion for an episode topic, email us something non-threatening to quicksandclub@gmail.com. Join us next time for the Quicksand Club podcast, uplifting comedy for a slowly sinking world.